This is a gopher snake. It can grow to 5 or 6 feet long and is the most commonly seen snake in our area. We live on the edge of the San Bernardino National Forest, 679,380 acres, mostly filled with extremely rugged terrain largely comprised of arid mountains. It's not a friendly landscape, but does serve as home to a variety of wildlife. We're visited by bear, deer, coyotes, fox, raccoons, squirrels, and one time I think I may have seen a mountain lion. There are a ton of bird varieties in the area, some of them here permanently and some migratory. And then there are the reptiles, mostly a lot of lizards, but it's not unusual to run into the occasional snake. While I'm not a huge fan of snakes, I try to recognize that this was their home before it was ours and appreciate their important role in our local ecosystem. I encourage my daughters to get familiar with them, not to view them as evil or terrifying, but in general to let them be and appreciate them from a distance. Most of all, to back away slowly and calmly, not to taunt or tease them. Because occasionally, we do get a call from one of these guys, a Southern Pacific rattlesnake. We don't see them frequently, maybe once a year, sometimes every other year. But the last time we had one about a year ago, it turned up inside the garage, where my wife nearly bent down to move aside what she at first thought to be a pile of rags. Fortunately, she was sweeping, and so went to push it aside with the broom first, when she noticed it moved more dramatically than you usually expect from a pile of rags. I wasn't home at the time, probably fortunate for me, but she called me and asked me what to do. I told her to leave it alone, but to try to keep an eye on it until either I got there or the snake decided to leave on its own. Well, it didn't, and when I got home almost an hour later, it was still there, with she and my daughter still keeping an eye on it. Now I had caught and relocated some babies in the past. These still require being pretty cautious, as according to some sources, babies can be pretty dangerous. They don't know how to regulate their venom, so when they strike, they just give it everything they have, and the venom is just as toxic as that of a full-grown snake. But still, this snake in the garage was full-grown and pretty good-sized, and a 4-foot-long rattlesnake just comes across as considerably more intimidating than a little baby. So we called animal control, and they said they would be right out, while we continued to keep our eye on the snake. It didn't do much, to tell the truth. Eventually, it wandered over to the edge of the wall underneath some low shelves, then hid there. It took about 3 or 4 hours for animal control to arrive. He pulled out his snake-grabbing tool, wrangled the snake into a cage, and took it away somewhere well down the mountainside, away from any homes. Not really a lot of drama. Then this past Saturday, I was out cleaning the yard when I found this guy hanging out along the side of the house. Mostly, I figured he would just leave. But figuring that he would leave and knowing he is gone are two very different things. And I was pretty sure that Lilith, my wife, would be less than thrilled to learn that I had just left him there in the yard. I definitely didn't want to take a shovel to him, but I needed to leave in an hour, so I didn't have time to call animal control. Now, I've seen videos where people just grab rattlers by their tail. But I'm just old, not old and insane. So I did what anyone would do. I found a 10-foot metal pipe left over from painting the ceiling, taped a wire hot dog skewer onto the end of it, and bent the 2 tines into a workable hook. Then I hooked the snake into the V made by the skewer, lifted him up, and eventually walked him that way down the road. It probably looked a little strange as I was out taking my Southern Pacific rattlesnake for a walk, but fortunately no one was outside to see. He slipped out a couple of times, but stayed pretty still while I recovered him and went on down the road. When we got to where there isn't a house for a half mile in either direction, I let him go with some stern instructions not to come back to our house. He looked a little stunned at first, but eventually crawled off, hopefully none the worse for wear. I hope he likes it there down the side of the hill. And I hope he stays there, down the side of the hill. How do you feel about snakes? Did I do the right thing? Should I have waited for animal control? Let me know down in the comments. Till next time, don't forget to be awesome, and I will talk to you again. Soon, hopefully.